Welcome back to Sunrise Sports. Today will be day 7 at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, and already the action has lived up to what we've come to expect from the Olympics. Joining me this morning is sports analyst Tyron Barnard, as well as a former Olympian, Natalie Toit. As we look back at the past week and also what we can expect as the Games progress. You at home, as always, can join in the conversation. We're on 011-447-1742 or 2570, or you can comment on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Guys, thank you so much for joining this morning. I know it's an early morning. Natalie, thank you for coming through. I have to ask you, first of all, before we get into what's been happening, what does it mean to be an Olympian?
I think, that's the, if I can say, the be-all and the end-all of sport. You work 4 years, you work your whole life to be able to achieve the Olympic Games or the Paralympic Games for that matter. So, it's absolutely everything. And I think, it's a little bit of a letdown because once you're there and it's finished, you're like, what do I do next? Because it is such a special moment.
So it is definitely a special moment. Now, Tyron, the Games, Olympic Games, every 4 years we wait for it to come around, but it never fails to deliver somehow, because sports you don't even bother with, your archery and your shooting, your fencing. I mean, they're all exciting. It's all part of the Games.
Yeah, my wife made us delete America's Got Talent so she could record the archery. It's fantastic. It's what I love about the Olympic Games is there's a lot of phenomenal sports people in the world, and unfortunately if they don't play the mainstream media sports, they don't get a lot of coverage. I mean, if you think even swimming, we get the FINA World Cup, we get the World Championship, but a lot of the swimming that guys do goes unnoticed, uncovered. We've got archery we never see. We never see any of the kayaking, the rowing. I mean, our rowers are world class. We never see that. So it's great. It's a real collection of the best sports people in all sports around the world. And it's just that something extra special compared to a one sport World Cup.
Indeed. Now, the first week, Natalie, I mean, I think, especially from a South African point of view, has been dominated by the swimming. If you look back at the past week, how would you say we fared thus far?
Well, I think the first 2 weeks of the Olympics should actually be a holiday, but nevertheless, watching all the different sports, but definitely going well. It's swimming has always got its upsets. I know that a lot of the athletes are against drugs at the moment, and very vocal about that. But South Africa is doing well, and I think from that perspective, it was anybody's race in the men's events. No one was actually standing out before we went into the Olympic Games. So from that perspective, I think we're doing well, and hopefully in the next 4 years we'll have some women there that we can possibly see in the heats as well. And really, just been great to be able to watch all the sport on TV.
Now, Tyron, obviously, the first week, Michael Phelps coming back to the Olympics, after he retired, after the London Games, that was always going to be a major talking point. And with Chad Leclos now, the visuals have gone viral, basically. That pre-race, I think, routine and everything. Natalie, I'm going to get you to comment on that in a while. But, I mean, do you think Chad, was there too much pressure on him?
I think there's a lot of pressure on Chad, but I think he's kind of invited that by the way he lives, the way he competes, the way he is. I think as a family, they're very outspoken. I mean, Bert has been saying before, doesn't matter what time anyone swims, we'll go faster. So you kind of invite that pressure on yourself when you're very vocal. I mean, if you think about Cameron van den Berg in comparison, I mean, and I'm not personal friends with either of the two, but we didn't see him in the media talking himself up. In fact, he was talking himself down, saying, I just hope I can qualify for the final.
Yeah. Whereas
Chad's family were releasing things like, well, we're going for gold again. It sounds harsh to say this because I'm a massive fan of him, but a little bit of humility does go a long way, and it does create a lot more support worldwide, and you don't become the butt of meme jokes.
Yeah. And obviously that's what's happened since the race now. Natalie, I mean, maybe you can tell us a bit about what happens behind the scenes. We saw the visuals where, I mean, literally Michael Phelps seemed to be zoned in. He was really focused, it seemed, and Chad was very, lighthearted. Is every athlete is different and their approach is different. What happens behind the scenes?
Absolutely. I think, the call-up room, you have to be in there a certain amount of time before your race actually happens, and it's usually about half an hour. So If you're not there in time, you're actually not able to swim. So from that perspective, you have to be in that call-up room. You've seen the likes of Missy Franklin. She's a, extremely happy person in the call-up room. I used to talk a lot, and I think Chad, gets ready as well by just keeping busy and keeping going. And it's very, I think, quite the old school style in that try and keep the blood flow going. Where Michael Phelps is the more reserved type, listen to music. You saw him on his cell phone, so he was obviously speaking to his team as well. The last few words going into the race. So call-up room is a make or break, and you either make or break by what happens. And there's a lot of people that go out there and try and psych out the other athletes, and there are a lot of those that would just sit in a corner and keep quiet or stretch or drink water. It's comes down to little routines and little there's little quirks before you have to go and race. But yeah, anything can happen in that call-up room, and we just saw the cameras on those two. Everybody else has their own little, as I said, quirks.
Yeah. Okay. We'd like to remind our callers that you can join in the conversation. We're on Facebook and we're on Twitter as well. So you can call us. We're on 011-447-1742 or 2570. Now, Natalie, I just want to quickly, on the part of Chad, I know a lot has been said. Do you think the pressure has been too much? And has he taken on too much? Because he also did the 200 freestyle. I mean, he got his medal in the 200 free. Has that cost him now in what is his main races?
I think, as a swimmer, you're always prepared for the races that you're going to swim. And, they would have calculated, exactly what races Chad would be taking part in. They would have also seen his lead up in training, leading up to the Olympic Games. And, normally Chad does the individual medleys as well. I see he's pulled out of that, where Michael Phelps opted to do the individual medleys and not the freestyle. So the older you get, usually, you start sprinting more. And that's obviously why Chad also doesn't swim the 400-meter individual medley anymore. But really it's about that preparation leading up to the Games. I don't think he's taken on too much pressure. I think Chad actually does well under pressure. Okay. That's his personality. That's who he's been. And, his coach as well. And he's got a good team around him that keeps him going, that keeps him positive, and would obviously be there to take some of it as well. And each person's different. Each person flourishes off a different sort of style.
So, okay, it's not over for him. We'll chat about that in a second.
Well, and he didn't fail. He came
that's
fourth.
What I've been saying, yeah.
People are talking about him as if he's this ultimate failure. He came fourth after winning a silver in a category that he was not very favoured to win at all. He still came fourth, and I mean, there's not much wrong with that.
Anytime you win a medal at the Olympic Games, it's a great achievement. That's what I've been saying all along. But yeah, we'll chat a bit about that. Let's actually have a look at the medal table as things stand at the moment. We know that South Africa obviously has the two from the pool. We've always expected the pool, they always deliver for us. So we've got the 2 silver medals, no gold, no bronzes yet, but it's still early days, let's hope. And I want to talk about that now. We're going to move on to what we can expect. We saw the Blitzbokke now getting through to the next phase. They had the quarterfinal, I think, this morning. And they're now in the semi-final against a Great Britain team, Tyron. How do we see this going?
Yeah, look, I mean, the Blitzbokke 1 win away from a medal. Obviously, we'd like it to be 2 wins, or we'd like that first win to come in the first game. Then it's a guaranteed medal. The way we played last night against Australia, which we did start with our starting lineup. Remember, we rested Cecil Africa, Roger Speckman, Kwagga Smith in the earlier game against them and just lost. We were outstanding. It was 22-5. We missed a few kicks. It could have been even better. The defense was incredible. Carl Brown leads that team very well. Yes, I'm really excited. It would be truly phenomenal if we could play Japan in the final, because Japan are playing Fiji.
We owe them one.
And we owe them one. But I think from a World Rugby Sevens point of view, you'd want to see Fiji, South Africa, the best 2 teams in the world, playing for that first ever gold medal.
And Fiji has never won an Olympic medal, period.
Amazing.
So this is going to be, I mean, they actually happy the Sevens rugby is happening, right?
Oh, they must be. And it's great for the Olympic Games that more countries get involved and win medals, because it gets more people interested and involved. And, if we manage to get that medal tonight or tomorrow morning, it's a third. We're already halfway to our best tally since we've post-isolation, and we've got a lot of athletes who can still win medals for us.
Now, Natalie, what's the general mood around, an Olympic Games at this point? Like for the swimmers now, they're kind of winding down what's happening. What would be the feeling now? Like you say, is it that where you're feeling, it's over? You have to look forward to 4 years' time again? What's the general mood now?
Well, I think it's quite challenging going to an Olympic Games because you have this hype in the first few weeks leading up to it. While you're busy training, etc., it drags out, and then the last week goes by so quickly, and then the first day of racing, and it's nerves, and it's it's what to expect. There are some athletes that will race up until the final day, so they have to keep focused. You'll have those athletes that have completed everything, and they'll be partying probably, or just enjoying themselves, being very relaxed. And I think what's more challenging is coming home and it's done. What do we do now? Where do we go from here? What are my next goals? What are my next steps? So generally athletes will take off a week or so. But I think what's great is, the opportunity for so many of the athletes to come and compete at Olympics. There are new sports that are there. And, as Tyron said, it's about those little countries that generally don't get to qualify for an Olympic Games. So, they're getting to see the world on a bigger stage, and in 4 years' time it'll be another 5 sports that will be added to that Olympics as well. So that's going to be even more special, and hopefully we can gather some more South African team members for that
now
as
I have
well.
to ask you this. I mean, you speak about the next 4 years again, because it's literally that. It's a 4-year process. What do you think that our athletes are getting enough support, whether it's swimming, our athletics team, whatever the case may be? Are we getting from both government and corporate? Do we support our athletes enough to go to an Olympic Games and really come home with your 12 medals that we're looking for?
I think it's always been a challenge in sport. I don't think, there is a lot of, not enough support out there at the moment, but it definitely is a step up from what it used to be. For me growing up, we had nothing. We paid for absolutely everything. So at least, now there is more money being plowed into it. Certain sports more than others. And obviously we'd like to see more in those smaller sports like the archeries, like those, canoeing, rowing, that we don't see of, but we still do extremely well. So, South Africa is a sporting nation, and, our former President Nelson Mandela always said, sport has the power to change the world, and it definitely does in South Africa. So it inspires millions out there, and, obviously looking for more.
Tyron, I mean, when you think about it, what can we do? I mean, for us to say, okay, not just the 12 medals, let's push on to 20 medals. Surely we need more support.
No, absolutely. I think, first and foremost, you can't send a team. We're sending a team of 137, of which 20 is the soccer guys, 20 is the soccer ladies. Then we've got another 15 or 16 is the blitzbokker. Take away the team sports, we've sent less than 100 individual and paired athletes. It's very hard to ask 15 medals. 15% of your guys must win medals. Or it puts a lot of pressure on someone like Chad to come back with 3 medals. We need to be raising our participation levels so that we can send. I mean, I think it's frankly ridiculous that we have no ladies in the swimming.
Yeah, definitely something that we need to look to improve. Guys, that's all the time we have. We thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And let's obviously enjoy the rest of the game. That was sports analyst Tyron Barnett, as well as former Olympian Natalie Toit, chatting to us about the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. We go to an ad break. Sunrise will be back shortly.